So forward-looking statements, a lot of what we describe in our business is in the future. But I thought I would start with just describing what it is that we do and why we do it. So we are essentially a generator, but we like to think of ourselves as kind of a partner generator side, and I'll go through a slide that explains that in more detail, but ultimately, our final goal is to monetize these assets. And the way that we want to monetize them is by having a royalty. So what specifically do we do to get there? So the first thing we do is we have to have a good land package, otherwise you're not going to get any partner to come in. Second thing is you have to think a little bit about what the partners want. And as Joe mentioned, they want jurisdictional de-risking. They basically want to know that they've got the lead time for development, ultimately construction and production. And they want to know that these size of assets will meet their profile. The next thing that's really important for partners is obviously picking the commodities that they're most focused in. And currently, certainly for the last 5 years, there has been a huge amount of demand for copper assets, and specifically on the exploration side. When we look at partner model, it's interesting to us that we are in a region where we are known for copper and gold, yet the gold producers haven't really made their way out to Eastern Europe. The producers who have made their way out is the copper companies, and they have a much longer vision about what is needed in their sector versus the gold companies. And I can spend hours on discussing why that is, but that is a fundamental difference that we see in a lot of the producers. So base metal producers, and specifically the copper producers, they have a very long trajectory of where they want to be in a specific commodity, and right now it's copper for them. So this jurisdiction is perfect timing. The second thing is, or the next thing is, experienced team. You know, our business is still a people business. Maybe in 20 or 30 years, we'll have more artificial intelligence in our business, and we can talk about that as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't assume that one person can explore for every single type of deposit and every single type of system. That doesn't happen. What you really need is, once you've picked your commodity, you've picked your jurisdiction, you've picked your deposit style, you have to have those experts on your assets. So our team has been entirely built around the asset base. And the next thing is you have to have really good fiscal discipline in our business. Of course, everybody wants a successful drill hole. Everybody needs that in the business. But if you do not have control over your budgets year over year and understand where you're spending money and why it's going to add value, you will very, very quickly dilute your company. So that is one thing that we are extremely focused on. And of course, we have some legacy investments. So in terms of our business model, I feel like it is important to describe this. We source the projects, we partner them with the right partner. People think that every single partner is interested in every single asset. That is not the case. Some producers are only interested in near-surface assets. Others are prepared to go down 2,000 meters, and it's not because there's some kind of an internal philosophy leading it. Oftentimes, it is the internal skill set of that specific geological team in that company that drives those decisions, and they have a specific comfort zone. And if you know what that comfort zone is, and if you understand why it's there, you can certainly have much more intelligent conversations about which assets make sense. So that's, I think, extremely important to understand in our business model. And the next thing is, obviously, not every operator can operate everywhere in the world. That's a huge ask for most companies. So what we do is we offer not only the land package, but we offer the team. And remember what I said, we build these teams around these assets. So when we approach partners of, hey, you're looking for copper deposits, we're in a porphyry district where there's 4 billion tons of porphyries. We have this kind of asset. It's very similar to your asset here in the world. But by the way, all you need to do is just write a check. You don't need to start a local company. You don't need to hire a local team. You don't need to understand all the legal framework. You don't need to get to know the local community or the local government. Those are all important steps along the process, but we've done all of that for you. And that's what we call the filter process. So that's a little bit different for most prospect generators. We actually have very in-depth operations we manage those programs in terms of operations, but our partners obviously pay the check, and the technical committee guides all decisions. And why do we do it? We do it to monetize. We're not, we're not here. Everybody wants to have a successful drill hole, but we also understand the science behind what we're doing. Not every single drill hole is going to hit an amazing target. Sometimes you have to have 100 drill holes. So we understand that the monetization process is going to be different for different assets. So that's generally an overview of our business and how we do it. This, I think, is an important graphic that shows you visually the difference between the more volume size, let's call it generator model, versus the more partner approach of the business. And I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. In terms of our assets, so what you see here is generally the stage of the projects, and I'm glad that Joe pointed out the Lassonde curve. I haven't seen that pulled out in a long time, so good on you for finding that. Essentially, we do have applications in both of the countries that we're focused on. We do have projects that are currently being discussed for partnering with projects, and fundamentally the core projects are the ones in Timic, Serbia, which we have ventured with Freeport, with Jogmec and Vale now, which we just brought on board last year. And then the next ones to come on board are the ones in Bulgaria, and that's, I think, pretty interesting. So a lot of people don't normally provide these kind of slides when you're in a generator business or in the exploration business, but I think this gives you a sense of just how much fiscal discipline we have. The dark blue is the partner funding. And since we've started this approach, our partner funding has gone up 553%. And why has it done that? Because we get into deeper relationships with partners, they're picking on more projects, and we're getting more partners. And that creates a really interesting model where there's a lot of sharing of knowledge, certainly within our own team, and then we can cross-pollinate that knowledge to those other partners. So programs tend to last longer than they might in an isolated environment. We also have the management fees, which are extremely important in cutting back on G&A. So what we always aim for is about one financing every couple of years if needed. And we've gone previously, 5 years without financing. So specifically in 2020, what are we going to do? Milestones. So I've given you what the vision is. The end goal is royalties on all of our programs and to basically dominate the royalty positions in Eastern Europe. Obviously, the method that we do that, I've explained that to you. It's the partnership model and how we go about that business. And then the last thing is milestones. So what should you expect this year in 2020 from us? So we do have just now announced this quarter, we've announced that Jogmec has moved forward on 3 projects in Bulgaria. So we had a generative alliance. That alliance has now matured into a partnership where 3 projects have been chosen, and those are going to be going into joint venture with them. So that's news in the company for the next 3 years. The next one is Vale. We just brought them on board last year, and we want to be in a position to be able to start drilling and start exploring with them in the second half of the year. So that's another important milestone for us. And then, of course, Freeport. Freeport came on board about 1.5 years ago after well over a year of due diligence, even age dating on some of our data. And basically where we are with that program is that we're pretty close to the $5 million spend for phase 1, well in advance of the first 3 years. And I think that's testament to the fact that there is a lot of targeting to be tested, a lot of interesting projects, and we're in this business in Eastern Serbia, and specifically the Timic region, because we believe there's going to be another discovery. And you cannot make a discovery without a lot of investment. So these partnerships are really important. And then, of course, there's Jogmec. Jogmec has been with us since the beginning in 2016. They're a fantastic group to work with. We've expanded that relationship into Bulgaria. And what we're looking at now is the Borsko project and reinvigorating the exploration program at Target 1. And with that, I have 30 seconds left, which I'm definitely not going to get through my other 20 slides. So I'm going to leave it there and leave the rest for Q&A. Okay?
Great.